So how does the NAR settlement going to affect you as a buyer or a seller? Great question. Let me give you the two things that the NAR settlement has done, and let me give you a little bit of background. First of all, there was a class action lawsuit that was filed against the National Association of Realtors and several big brokerages across the nation. It was filed in Missouri, and it was gone on for many years, and they finally did a settlement on it. The lawsuit basically related that there was collusion between agents on pricing, and that sellers were having to pay the bulk of things, and they didn't feel like they could negotiate those things. And so they filed a class action lawsuit. It was to the amount, I think they settled for like $418 million. That's going to be paid out over several years. But two other things came out of that lawsuit and the settlement. Number one, MLS is no longer going to be allowed to have any commissions on it, which was originally why the MLS was created, was so that buyer's agents would know what they were getting paid for the house that they were going to sell. The second thing that came out of that was all buyers have to have a buyer's representation agreement signed before an agent can open up the house for them. So you may see a lot of this in the market right now, where you've got agents that are requiring this now, and buyers are like, why? We've never had to do this before. But really, it comes down to a rule that we have to do that states that we have to have a buyer's agreement signed. It may be just for a particular home. It may be for a couple of days. But without that, agents can't open up the house for you if they're a buyer's agent. Now, the listing agent can do that because they have an agreement with the seller and they need to get the house sold. But as a buyer, sorry, you guys are going to have to sign one. And it really is a good thing for you as a buyer. You need somebody in your corner that's going to represent you and your interests. See, there's two sides to a transaction, the buyer and the seller. So seller is represented by the listing agent, but who's going to represent you as the buyer? Who's going to negotiate on your behalf? Who's going to know the forms and the procedures and what takes place next? It's a process to buy a home. And you need representation. And really, in Texas specifically, if you don't have a buyer's rep agreement signed, the agent is a sub-agent of the listing broker, which means anything that you tell your agent without a buyer's rep agreement, they can relay to the seller. They're supposed to. So really, it behooves you in your best interest to have a buyer's rep agreement signed. The other part of this is, what does this mean for compensation for buyer's agents? Great question. Okay. Nobody works for free. You go to work, you get paid to do a job. Same as us agents, except we don't get paid until the closing happens. So you're going to see a couple of things now. You may have some sellers that do not want to pay a compensation to the buyer's broker. So you as a buyer may be responsible for that, and you get to negotiate that with your agent. So keep that in mind. Sellers don't have to pay the buyer's broker at all. They don't have to. I think it's still a smart thing to do, because you may get buyers out there that can't afford to buy a house without an agent, number one, and they can't afford to buy for or pay for the buyer's commission. You may also get some that don't want to look at houses because they can't afford to pay their agent. So just keep that in mind. Compensation has always been negotiable. That it's never been something that's just been set in stone that the sellers pay. So I just want to make that very clear. That has always been negotiable. This is a weird time for everybody. There are a lot of forms that have come out because of this. And so just be patient with each other. We're all working to get to the same goal, which is to sell a house and to buy a house. You have somebody that wants to buy it, you have somebody that wants to sell it, so we're in different cars moving in the same direction for the same goal. So let's just get there, let's get the house sold, and let's just be graceful and merciful and have some forgiveness and some patience with each other on this, because it's a transition for all of us during this time. So, but just know we've got your back on this, and if you've got questions, feel free to reach out. We're happy to help answer anything that we can. If we don't have answers right away, we'll get them for you. It's how we roll. So you guys take care and have a very blessed day.